Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello.
Hello. Coming to you from my car in the parking lot.
Cool.
Extravagant life we lead.
Oh, yes. That's how you get time to yourself. You have to start a podcast if you ever want time for yourself, apparently, is what you have to do.
Yes.
So are you excited to get into it and talk about this wedding that finally happened?
I know. It was a big week. Some good stuff, some awkward moments, great dresses. Let's go.
So the first thing when it comes to this whole haunted star wedding is that I have to say, like, even just the scenery, the location of the haunted star, I have to say, like, at first I just kept thinking of like all the bad things that have happened on that boat.
Same.
And like especially when they would show like scenes of like the rooms, like obviously like Elizabeth and Franco had like a cute moment in their hotel room, cute or whatever you want to call it, before and having like your son knock at the door, uber
Oh,
awkward.
so
But
awkward.
it was just hard because it's like kind of the last time we saw any of those rooms was when Kiki's body was there.
Exactly. Like I was so thrown when like Franco was knocking on the door and goes into the room. I thought he'd have like a moment. And I couldn't tell if he did or not, but I did. Like I had a moment when that door opened and saw the empty bed and saw maybe it was a different room, obviously. But it's just I had a moment personally as a viewer.
I kept trying to like pay attention that when, because Ava does go into the room that Kiki was murdered in with the psychic,
Right.
and I kept trying to check like, is this exactly the same room without the flower petals? I really didn't feel like rewinding to double check, but I have a sense that that's pretty much what that was. So every wedding has a drunk person, and we had Obrecht.
I love drunk Obrecht. Like it was hilarious. She was so entertaining. I like her as the bad guy trying to be a good guy that sways back to bad guy. But her being drunk, just I giggled so much. And then when she was with Franco and divulging some secrets, it was great.
But don't you find that there's different levels of like villainy? And Obrecht was like this horrible villain, but over time she became like a comical villain.
That's very true. She's definitely pulled
Like she's
herself
serious.
out of the pariah group.
Yes,
Like Julian's still there,
sort of.
Ava's still there, but she's Obrecht is really because people tolerate her so much better than they do others who have done pretty wretched things.
Well, because she also is, I'm not gonna say delusional. Like she expressed when she was drunk that she's still lonely and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she was also talking romantically as well. But at the
Yes.
same time, like she doesn't care. Like she's like, yes, she wants to be accepted, but at the same time, she acts as though she is. And she like kind of ignores all the terrible things she's done. Like she developed a friendship with Felix, like she considers them a coworker and friend. Meanwhile,
True.
later on, you have Elizabeth reminding us that Obrecht shot her once.
But I loved the scene with Obrecht and Nina and Jax.
Yes, and I'm like, did Jax forget that like Obrecht was the one who worked with his brother in kidnapping Robin? Like I feel like he forgot that.
I forgot that, quite frankly. I just thought she was hilarious and charming.
She was when she was meeting Jax, but not so much when she was like holding Robin hostage with
True.
Jerry. So it's just
True.
a really odd connection. And I mean, it just goes to show what people are willing to kind of look past.
I
So
think if you live in Port Charles, you have to be willing to look past a lot.
yeah, you really really do. But the thing that really like struck me is, okay, so there's certain characters that you wish maybe you see a bit more, like especially at the hospital, like someone like Felix. You, I don't know, like they were like a prominent character at one point, and then like we don't see them a lot anymore. And when
True.
he showed up at the Haunted Star and made a point of saying that he broke up with Donnie, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I thought of was like, okay, so does this mean like, are they setting up something for him and Lucas? Like him being the person who like comforts him. And I mean, Obrecht hints at that. She hints at that. No, like, because a long time ago there was the love triangle, and I think like Felix the one who got the first date was Lucas, and then
Yes.
Brad was sort of in the picture, and in the end sort of Brad won. And since then, like it was more, I feel like Felix and Brad had a friendship, and that was more showcased, and not so much a relationship at all between Felix and Lucas.
That's a very good point, and I do think that they're bringing somebody back to just be that middle person because Brad is definitely going to spiral and be kind of shunned for a while until everybody forgets what he did.
That's true. So we actually don't know who Felix will end up supporting
Exactly.
when this all goes to poo poo. And so who do you think pushed Obrecht?
Okay, I thought it was really funny because we were talking last week about kind of a whodunit situation with Shiloh. So this was like a whole different whodunit type situation. So between Valentine and Brad, I was trying to think who had more motive. But I feel that Valentine has more evil in him. Brad is just steps in poop and makes a mess of things.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When you put it like that, it's true. Like I feel like Brad might be struggling, but he's too wound up and stressed to do anything. Like he keeps running. Like his go-to is like running to Julian in the middle of the night at Kim's house or like constantly being like, "Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you?" at the party.
Yes, like let the
So,
man
you're
enjoy a
right.
night. He's got Kim who's like falling apart. Like let poor Julian
And
just like
raping
have a minute.
people. Like I just
Oh my, are we
like
going there like
I think
already?
I
Like,
think
oh,
we I think we should because when the episode started, at first I didn't even think about Kim's crazy, like I was thinking like when Drew was being kind to her at the start at the bar, I just kept thinking, how awkward is it from that person's perspective, from Drew's perspective? Like, I care about you and you're in this relationship and you keep wanting to try to have sex with me and have a baby with me. Like I just like I mean like you said earlier, we all have to accept crazy things, and I think part of us and even the characters are accepting the crazy notion that she is in so much grief and it makes logical sense for her to want this baby with Drew. Like I think we can all understand her wanting the baby with Drew, but
yes.
isn't that weird? Like isn't that weird to know somebody who's in a relationship but they're like, I just want to have sex with you the one time because I think she
One
thinks.
time, because that's how you have a baby, the one time.
So Jennifer Francis 8326 was like, wait a minute, she wants a baby now so bad she's drugging him so that she'll have sex and will automatically get preggo. And there's nothing wrong with this plan.
Okay, but
I
there's
love
so much
the way she said it. There's a lot to it, but I mean, there's also that like practical element of like you may not get pregnant the first time. Okay, sorry, that's like the
you're
least
okay.
important part of the whole thing.
Right? I was like, hold on a second. He's drugged. That must be some super magical sedative slash Viagra because I don't understand.
Oh, that's something else I saw that people comment too. Like, what's the likelihood that everything is working under these conditions? And so, like, when she brought him to the thing, I just kept thinking he's wearing so many layers. How did you stab him? How I?
And then lift him into the bed. Like, no, that's true. He fell
But
on
she
the bed.
had
He
to.
fell on the bed, right?
But they went to the entrance. So how did she walk him all the way? Because you have to, because like the access to the bedrooms is next to the bar. So like
I
how did
like
you
how you know
walk
this,
through
but I
the
like how you know the layout of the like
because that's how they go. One's an entrance and one's like the back rooms. Either way, I was just like, this is so terrible. Like, I mean, look, there's a long history of women drugging men for babies on soap operas. And just because there's a history of it doesn't make it any less
weird.
completely insane and weird. And like I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is completely insane. Like she's gone cuckoo. And not to mention like my only hope though, I was like so much in denial about this. I'm like, this
Hmm.
can't be happening. Like
I know.
she's a
I'm like,
freaking
please,
rapist.
it's
Like
the
this can't be
dream.
happening. And so,
Exactly.
well, no, I was a bit realistic. Like I knew she was actually doing this. My hope was that Julian would stop her. So it wasn't like I was hoping, but then he did. He stops her. But even on that end and that perspective, you catch your girlfriend about to rape someone. So then
He's like,
where do you go from there?
he's like, we need to get you out of here. And then they just leave Drew. I felt bad for Drew, who doesn't know what on earth is going on. He just kind of sees them. I can't remember if he was awake at that point and leaves. But yeah, what do you say? Like he brings her to the docks and then says she needs help. But I really thought he was going to bring her to Shady Brook.
Yes, because I'm waiting for this supposed exit because they said for a long time, and maybe it is true, I don't know, but they were talking
Mm-hmm.
about how Kim and Drew would like make this exit together. They weren't gone to Kilimanjaro for long.
No.
I feel like they were showcased less during the Oscar storyline than now
Oh my
when
gosh,
they're, when
seriously.
they're supposed to be like not there. So I kind of thought this would have been the cue for like a bit of a departure for Kim, but it wasn't. And he's all like comforting her, like, you tried to rape someone, and I see that you're in a lot of pain. And I'm like, all right. So I was like, cry for help, I guess. I'm just like, it's just so twisted. And I mean, like, I don't know. I just think it's so strange. And I mean, I get that she felt bad, but like, am I supposed to believe for a second she was going to be like, she expected Drew to press charges?
I know, and that I think that goes to show just how out of reality that she really is right now. And just to take it a step back, like I loved her acting. Like as we've said, she really represents this grief so well. And I look at her and I thought I was over crying about Oscar, but when I see her in so pain, yes, there's part of me that's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Another part of me is just so sad because if you look, like we talk a lot about the background acting, and Carly is like super awesome at that. But when you looked and when they were focusing on Franco or any other scene at the Haunted Star where Kim and Julian were in the background, everybody else was in conversation or dancing. And them too, like he would be standing behind her or near her and she would just be staring off into space or staring at Cam
Oh,
or
wow.
staring at something. So it's like when I took a step back and just kind of noticed, and when I got my honor, I couldn't stop looking. So even when everything else was going on, I would just kind of see her in the background, and you knew that it was a lead up to something really dramatic that was going to happen. So it was great acting on her point. Like, oh my god, I was so impressed.
That's really interesting to hear. Like the only like putting it all together in that way. I did not see it as something else was like I didn't see it as predictive of what she did, like the way you were able to. The one thing I did notice though in terms of like the background was that I did feel for her when I watched her watch Cam sing. Like I could not have imagined how
Yes.
hard that was because
Oh,
Oscar sings and he's singing to his mom and they're the same age. So I definitely feel for that. But
yes.
I do need to ask you this question though. Okay, so Tommy No Shoes says she's pulling a page from Shiloh's book. So sort of with the whole drugging and the sex thing. But
Oh,
the
right.
but the second part to that question is I can't believe they had her do that to Drew and then it just gets swept under the rug. And this is like a comment, like a similar idea that has popped up. Given what we've seen so far, do you think her like major actions have been swept under the rug?
I really felt it did, and I didn't like that. And Drew's not much of a talker, like that's his character to keep it closed up, but I feel like it's going to eat at him, and it will come out a little bit later on, and that she will have to pay to a certain extent for her actions. But right now, Drew is still very much caught up in facing reality as to what happened, how severe she's gone down this rabbit hole, what's going on with the will. So, yes, I do believe it's going to happen, just not now. What I thought was going to happen, though, is that the drugs would help him get some memories back.
Oh, that might have been good. That
Because you know,
might
he
have
was
been the
looking.
silver lining of this
I
very
know.
unfortunate action.
Oh my gosh. So, when he was seeing everything kind of blurry and hazy, I'm like, maybe something will come back of him and Kim in the past.
Okay, speaking of Kim's past, this was a
Mhm.
very interesting thought. So PT Moxie, part of her comment was this. Kim has been a pretty low-key character. Her whole storyline was wrapped up with Oscar. We have no idea what she is capable of at this point because we don't really know a lot about her. So I thought that was really interesting
It
because
is really
it's true.
interesting.
There's
Hmm.
no one to really, we all know that like in terms of like the kids in the soap operas or anything, it's like her being a mother is very separate from whatever happened. Like she kept her life extremely compartmentalized. So like we don't actually know
Oh
what
my
kind of a
gosh.
person she is.
Could you imagine? Like, I just had a. So, when Kim speaks about her relationship with Drew, she keeps saying how intense it was and how romantic it was. But intense can also be another word for crazy. So, we don't really know if she was actually this sweet, kind person in this one wrapped up in this beautiful romantic story, or was she a little cray cray back then, too?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I really appreciate this comment because it really has us
Yeah.
thinking about who Kim is and shows a lot of potential for her character on the show. So I mean, all in all, you feel that her what she did was temporary. It is temporarily being swept under the rug, and you think that it'll be something they'll address a little bit later.
I do. Yeah, I definitely do. And in regards to Julian and why he's supporting her, Bobby said something to him on the Haunted Star, and I think that triggered him big time. She said something along the lines like, anything you do never helps anybody. You are not capable of actually helping people.
Oh.
So I feel that that is really pushing him in the direction of no matter what crazy thing Kim does, he's going to support her endlessly so that he can feel that he fills that void of actually helping someone, truly helping someone.
Wow, I think that's a really great observation. Yes, that kind of really makes sense. And I think he really enjoys being in this role. He's getting to take care of Lucas, his son,
Mm-hmm.
and he's getting to take care of a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And before we move on to like another character in the show, I just want to say I was super entertained by the psychic this week.
Me too. Has she been on before? Because she looked really familiar.
Uh, I don't think so. Clearly Nina knew her, and I like the comment she made toward Valentine.
I didn't quite get it. Did she mean like tweezer, like you took the DNA?
Yeah, like how he did what he did.
Ooh, yeah, I liked it. I liked his face. How like he just. How does Nina? If you love somebody, you know when their expression changes. Like if they're thinking something good, bad, something's up. She's just so oblivious.
I think she's actively choosing to be. I mean, even today when they were
True.
talking about like lies and I don't like being lied to, it's like, yeah, you said that before and it's part of your relationship. Like, at what point are you going to
Yeah.
realize that he keeps doing it? And like, in terms of the wedding, what made me laugh was, first of all, you're with Valentine, and when there's like a scene of her like dancing with Valentine and she's like
Oh
eyeing
my god.
Jax from afar, and I was like, okay, you may want to tone
But I
down
okay.
the eye fondling. Like, I don't know what that was, but you might wanna
But
stop
Jax,
that.
I felt that he was sharing that look too. Like he was looking at her
Of
a
course
little
he is.
longingly.
Of course he is. But he has, now we know that he has
Mm-hmm.
no reason to hold back with her. He has no one that he's
True.
loyal to romantically, that we've come to find out. And so not only was she doing this with Jackson, I know it's not the same thing, but even later on when Nina was saying bye to Franco, even he was a little
Oh
taken
my
aback by
god.
the intensity
Yes.
of her face kiss. And I'm like, that's someone who's super happy to go home with Valentine.
No, but I was watching that scene and I love the actor who plays Franco and just how he manages a situation and everything is written on his face. So my new favorite expression from a coworker is "ako taco," and that just popped up in my head when
What does
that
that
whole scene.
mean?
That it's super awkward, but I don't know. It just sounds cute.
Got it.
Maybe she likes tacos. I don't know, but I love it and it's super adorable. But that's what popped up in my head. And then the face kiss. I'm like, okay, so is this how we because we talked about how like creepy old lady and one of those things popped up in my head too because I'm like, oh, so this is how you express joy to somebody else on their wedding day. You just grab them and kiss them romantically on the cheek.
Well, I think that's how Mel will do that moving forward.
In my 50s, let's push that one to the 50s.
All righty. Am I supposed to stop you when you start doing things like
No, you just laugh and say that's my crazy sister.
this? Or is that when I go, that's Ago Taco?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay, so what I also would also like really got me on the whole boat thing was Hayden's return, which was super
Yes.
huge.
Oh my gosh, it's like everything stopped for a second. She really stole the scene though, because she's beautiful. Elizabeth is beautiful too. And I didn't realize they were sisters. You're gonna have to catch me up a little bit.
Yeah, Elizabeth's dad had an affair.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Done and
That's
done.
the gist of it. But like at first I wasn't sure that like Elizabeth was happy to see her, but then she was, and then we come to find out
Mm.
that they have really been in touch the entire time,
Right?
because she had alluded, especially to Finn when he would talk to her, that like she didn't know anything. So I like the fact that she was developing a really. That's also why I didn't want her to go. Is that they hated each other and then they
Mm-hmm.
got to this really good place. And I don't know. I was really disappointed when Hayden left, and I find it's so entertaining now that she's back, and it makes a lot of sense now that she's not actually with Jax, because there's such an intensity that's obvious between her and Finn, and even the way Finn has been
Yes.
acting since she got back, like it's like there's no one else there when he's trying to talk to her or when he sees her.
I know. Like she
And
fits in so well.
she what?
She fits in so well. I didn't when I was watching. I didn't have a lot of Hayden moments like when I first started watching, because I think it's when she was on her way out. I'm not sure, but I don't remember a whole lot of her.
You probably weren't watching when she was on. That's the
Yeah.
only way I could kind of help fill in those gaps, or I don't know how you talk about that, but no. Because you have gaps that, well, because like you have a gap, a Hayden gap, but you also didn't watch when Hayden was on. So I'm like, I don't know how to refer to that Hayden gap. I don't know.
Noted.
Yeah. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing, the Hana, as far as like, what is she doing? Like, she's ignoring Finn, and he tries to talk to her, and then she's all dismissive, and I'm like, she's really mad that he didn't show up in Rome. I mean, like, I wanted him to go see her in Rome, but at this point, this like long later, do you really expect someone to buy a ticket and come and see you? And like take time off, just logistically,
I know.
like to book a flight. We don't know if it's high season. Take some time off work, and then be all like, hey, girlfriend of mine, I'm going to see my ex-girlfriend in Rome. I don't know.
Just, for closure.
That's what they all say. So that's really, and then when he actually asked her, like, first of all, I love when he like tried to talk to her at the hospital, and I love how Elizabeth wouldn't help Hayden.
Yes, it was such a sister move.
It was. So I really love this change. And I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed watching Elizabeth, even at the wedding. Like, this is what I mean. And I know I've said this before, but just an example of how well she fits right in when she's in her own life. And so even when she was out on the docks on the boat with Finn and having a conversation, with the way she was talking, very like calm, relaxed, casual, it really reminded me of like Elizabeth from like many moons ago, like from when she first started and the character I had first liked. I know that's odd, but that's how I felt. That was a feeling I got when I watched her scene with Finn on the water, and I think she might be secretly rooting for them. I'm guessing she knows how Hayden feels about him for real.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too, because why else? She is friends with Finn, but I definitely think there's some underlying stuff, and I like their little dark relationship and banter, Finn and Elizabeth, when they were standing out on the dock or outside the boat.
Exactly. Like when they were on the, oh, that's what I meant, on the boat thingy outside. But like, I guess the deck. Anyways,
Might be the deck.
the deck of the boat. Okay, what? Anyways, so so uh, so this made me think, and well, actually, no, it really showed me how I don't think. So Megan Shields 3 said, "I was shocked by Hayden and Jax together. Wonder what they're up to." So she's smart. She's like, they're up to something. I was like, oh my God, they're romantically involved. And I do know that they kind of briefly mentioned business, but it was like kind of like out the window after Jax was changing his shirt. I was like, what'd you say? But then on today's episode, when he was like talking to Hayden and we find out it is all business, their relationship, and he said they have a job to do. Like, I am so curious what that is.
Me too. And having her as CFO, I love having these women who are smart and in power, and seeing how that's all going to unfold. And why? So I'm curious as to if she was involved in the decision with Jax to buy this company, or did
I
she hop on
don't.
later? Like, I'm so like, I just want to know everything.
I know. I'm so curious too, because before she left, she was in charge of finances at General Hospital. So that is her background. Which is why it was hilarious when she bumped into to Laura, and comes to find out Laura was the mayor, because Laura was on the board at the hospital. So I just also loved how Hayden was slowly coming into like all of this information. So clearly her like check-ins with Elizabeth were maybe not as informative, and maybe were more focused on Finn than she's letting on, and not so much about all of what was happening in Port Charles. But I have to admit, like, my favorite thing about the like crimson scenes was Nina's ridiculous attempt at trying to like establish a personal professional, like to establish a line between personal and their professional relationship with Jax.
But
Like,
she's like the
what?
worst.
Yeah, considering she started by asking a personal question, and all I kept thinking in my head when she was bringing up this topic with him, does this mean you're going to stop inviting Valentine and insisting that your husband be part of your meetings?
Oh my God, it's so sad. It's like Valentine's a puppy that she brings around. It's like her therapy puppy.
But he's acting like that.
Yes.
He's acting so insecure. And I found it even sort of came off a little bit in his interaction with Laura and Lulu, even probing into her marriage. Like I
Uh,
just didn't understand that. I'm like, first of all, you're insecure about yours, and also, if Dante's not there, how is she supposed to work on her marriage? Because that was his excuse. I could take Charlotte so that you can work on your marriage with no one.
because apparently that's how that works.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to work on his
True.
relationship with no one by going behind Nina's back.
So I'm gonna pick up what you're putting down, and I'm gonna say that Valentine definitely was just looking to regain control, power in a very specific
Yes.
situation. However, Laura once again made him cower, just the same way that Jax makes him cower, and he just walked away like a defeated puppy with his tail between his legs.
And he kind of walked into Nina's office in that same form with his tail between his legs. Like he was really frantic in delivering this news that he found out about Jax.
Again, trying to regain some sort of power and authority and confidence, or having Nina view him in a certain way and
Oh,
not view Jax in that certain way.
yeah, I don't know if it really worked out for
I
him.
don't
I
think so.
mean, like her response to him was even funnier. Like, well, given who you are, like, shouldn't he have a file on you? But he was really pushing a specific narrative that somehow Jax was targeting her through Cassandra Pierce. Because, like, I mean, that's scary for Nina. She almost killed Cassandra Pierce, and she's on the line right now. And I think, Valentina's playing on that. And I just think that we know that Jax is up to something with Hayden, but we
Hmm.
don't know what it is. And we really don't know what those files mean. And I'm just saying, like, from a logical perspective, other than the one that he's trying to sell to Nina, is that, like, Cassandra Pierce was originally located in Europe. Finn brought her back, lured her to the States. So she's a
Hmm.
known criminal. And if she's infamous, I would say maybe more infamous than Valentine because she's still active in crime and people knew that. And
Okay.
Valentine, not so much. So it's just sort of like, how do you know Jax didn't have some interest in her and then finding out that you two were connected and had a previous working relationship? Like, how does that in itself not make any sense?
Well, that's what I don't get either, because we all know that Jax is extremely thorough. He even explained to Nina when he first started and they first met how, he does all of these checks and he's very thorough and he's an experienced businessman, and he makes sure that when he makes a decision that it's well thought out, blah, 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 blah. But that includes knowing who you're working with, for, surrounded in, the town that you're in. It expands beyond just the numbers of your business, especially in Port Charles. You have to know who the players are and who to look out for.
And I'm just saying, if anybody were to do business, let's say with Carly, wouldn't it kind of matter that she's married to Sonny Corinthos? And
Exactly.
wouldn't you kind of have some info on him and it not necessarily be about her?
And who his enemies are, who he's connected with. Like, that file would be extensive.
It would be a really big file. We get it. We get it. Sonny would have a real big file. Any,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so on to uh, on to other stuff happening in that building. So down at the Metro Court, how cool was Sasha this week?
I loved Sasha this week. I also, okay. So Sasha's scene with Joss and Michael and being kind of like motherly and family oriented.
Domesticated.
Okay, right, that's the word I'm looking for. And then when she reminded me of Carly in that
Hmm,
moment when she was speaking to
hmm,
Shiloh.
hmm, hmm.
Strong, confident. She read Michael's face. She knew exactly who he was without Michael even telling her. Like, it just played out like so beautifully, magically wonderful. I loved it.
You know what's really funny? We actually have a comment from someone named Sarah Witten on Instagram who
Mhm.
said the next Sunny and Carly.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Right?
I really
And
did, though.
so I have to admit, like, yes, I do think, like, at some point, yeah, he might end up with Willow, but honestly, for the time being, like, Sasha is just everything. I think she's exactly what Michael needs. And for all of the reasons that you said, one,
she has good instincts. And this is not to take
Mm-hmm.
away from what happened to Willow under very
No,
vulnerable
no, no, no.
circumstances.
Of course.
But the fact that, like, exactly that, she was very much in tune. She trusted her own instincts. She was able to read the creepy meter from like miles away.
Yes.
And the way she was also able to read Michael, I think, and just be the partner and be by his side in that way. And also something she did, which is really amazing, is like even her connection with Carly, like even her interaction with
Oh,
Carly, you know, like
amazing.
she's not hiding. Well, that's pushing it, which of course she's hiding something, but
Well, yeah.
but it's just that like she's not really holding back. Like let's just like take away the secret situation, but for the most part, like she was pretty honest with Carly, like, oh, this is how I feel about your son, I've observed this. And I think it's really cool even for Carly to see, even for me, like before Carly articulated this, I had said it's really cool how she's picking up on things about Michael, because he was impressed by that. It was kind of like, oh wow, someone's actually noticing me. Because he
Aww.
but it, like that's what it
It's
feels like when
true.
he would say those things to her, and he was always so impressed at how perceptive she was. And it's because he's always the one taking care of everyone else.
Yes.
And in this situation, she doesn't need his care, but she admires his his instinct to care for others, which I think is makes her even freaking cooler. The fact that she understands the nature of him and Willow's relationship, which at the very moment is what it is. It's just a friendship.
Exactly. And I didn't know, or I didn't realize that Carly and Sasha shared that bond of searching for their mother. Even if Sasha's isn't as real
Right?
as Carly's, that is definitely something that caught me off guard. And in the grand scheme of things, I forget that Sasha has this secret, because when you compare to all the other secrets people are holding in town right now,
Yeah, it's
hers
really
is like
nothing.
so minor. It's not even funny.
What I do hope though is that I would rather that Sasha be pushed to a point of feeling so guilty that she's the one who just comes clean. And I think if she can come clean to Nina and then directly come clean to Michael, I just would want that, because I just want there to be a smooth transition for them to just move on to something more real, because everything outside of that one little detail is real.
I think that she's going to, I feel like, anyways, that she will confess to Michael first and Michael will help her break it to Nina.
Okay, that might be better in terms of like her relationship with Michael. But I have to say this, there has to be some kind of drinking game developed based on the intense content that Michael drops so casually in conversation. Because like I mean, this happens all the time, you know, whether he talks
Yes.
to Ola, whether he talks to Sasha. And I love that in one conversation, in a few
Mhm.
minutes, he just goes, yeah, like my sister was caught up in that cult. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like she's reacting like how a normal
A
person would
normal,
react to
yes.
hearing something that comes off extremely sensitive and intense. And then he follows that up with, so I got to go to the reading for my cousin's will.
I know.
It's also a super heavy thing. Like, yes, he's telling her the truth and these are facts, but it's just like, again, it's like, how many times can you react to Michael by going, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry? Like everything that he comes out of his mouth, you almost are prompted to give that reaction.
Oh, 100%. It's amazing that, well, like I said, she reacts like a normal person because she's not from Port Charles. And he just, for the first time, he says the things that we want him to say, or a
Yes,
character to
yes.
say.
Yeah, I really, no, I completely agree with that. He kind of speaks
Mm.
what we think, and she reacts kind of like how the audience would react. But what I also love is how they were really funny in doing that thing where Sasha had to click on what contract she would take.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
I was like, I'm like, we're talking about like her GH contract, right? Not so much her gym contract. And so I thought that was so funny and so well done. How she's like, do I stay for a month? Do I stay for a year? And I'm like, cool,
Oh my
extended contract.
gosh.
Super, super happy about that.
Yeah, I'm glad that they shared it with us in that way.
Yeah, it was really, really funny.
Michael gets my gold star for this week because he was also really good at thinking quick on his feet, because I don't know if it's true or not. I couldn't really tell if he was telling the truth about redirecting the ELQ shares from Shiloh to the foundation,
Do you
which
know who's
I'm.
not quick on their feet? But
Oh my gosh, it's true. He got shoved like twice this week.
three times, three
Three.
times, three times.
I've lost count. Three is a
Anyways,
big number.
As you were, as you were. No, I could not have been happier when Michael spoke up. But what I also thought was funny was,
Of the will reading. Continue.
yeah, was the entire time that Alexis kept, and how many times exactly did she say, so my assistant arranged everything?
I know.
Everyone, I have
Oh.
an assistant. So
I did not read this and I had no
to,
understanding of what was happening. I do not really study law. I'm trying to be a fake therapist.
oh my god, and she was at it for 2 days. For 2 days, she was telling us about her assistant, and I just loved it because I mean, of
Uh,
course, like, because I saw like a preview clip of him walking into the quartermains and getting shoved, and then her like shocked reaction to the will. So it's like I knew it was like Shiloh, it was like something was shocking, but it was just hilarious at how they were like relentless at the setup for that situation.
oh gosh.
That was really enjoyable. But yeah, I couldn't have been happier with that because it's true. We did learn about that later on, that he had wanted to use his shares and he wanted to open up a foundation. So what I don't understand is that they make it so certain to Shiloh, like, this is how the law works. He had a separate will and it
Yes.
matters and it's already being processed. And then later on they're all like huddling around. Oh my gosh, so like we're all scared. I'm like, why are you
How do we do
scared?
this?
I'm like, you just sort of outlined that he legally can't get them. But anyways, whatever. So I'm just hoping that they do whatever they can to make sure that he has like no part in ELQ. But he seems to think that the funds have been automatically transferred to him. He's so crazy.
I don't think he understands how shares work.
I don't think he understands how reality works. Like, he just says
I
things.
like
And
that
to be honest, like, maybe I don't either, because sometimes I'm like, even though I know better, I'm like, maybe what he's saying is true
Oh
because
my god,
he's
but you
so
already said this.
convincing. Yeah,
You've
I know,
already said
really
this from the very
gullible.
beginning. You're like, I would have been in the college. Before we found out the creepy stuff, like just like right in the beginning.
Well, it's just he's so convincing sometimes, but he's also really creepy. So, and I think me being
Oh
creeped out
god.
would have superseded my stupidity and
Oh,
would have
one
made me go like, "Oh, I don't like you," and that would have been enough.
cringeworthy.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Taco taco. Oh god, I can't do that. I can't say that anymore.
I'm gonna have to send you a gif of the dancing taco with the bad mustache. It's awesome.
Have you ever? Never mind, because there's a whole song about an avocado. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's
No, but I'll
hilarious.
have to Google that.
Okay, so moving on. So something that happened this week, like, Harmony has been quite irritating as a character, especially when it comes to Willow and how she's completely incapable of being a mother. But there was something this week in the way that she was. Like, it's really cool to see
Oh.
like this character come on and be like this like mindless cult follower, and then to like actually be able to witness the switch, because like
Well,
literally it was like a different
yes.
person. I was watching a different person, and today like Willow actually said exactly what I was thinking and wrote down the day before,
Hmm.
was that I'm like, she literally sounds like a mother. Like, this is why she sounds so different. And I just think it's so cool that like she's actually able to get that across.
Yeah, and that's what I said too. Like, what was it last week when Jason was being the lawyer for the first time? That it really felt
First of many, it looks like.
right, and you actually could see in her eyes, and I really commend her for being an excellent actress for doing that. You really see the turnaround and the information being processed. And same when she was in the scenes this week, you can really. I believed her. Like, I really believe that she was doing it for the greater good, that she didn't want anything in return, and that she really wanted to help the people who Shiloh and her inflicted pain on. But I do also think it's hilarious that I love how comfortable Jason was showing off, his right side of the law skills in front of like everybody.
Yeah, but they let him do it.
I
And I
know.
was just like, what is happening right now? Like, he just sat down and decided to finish the
Role play.
interrogation. Yeah, Mac didn't mind. Robert didn't seem to mind at all. And I'm
Sam
just
seemed to
like,
love it.
oh yeah. She's like, I love you playing lawyer. And I'm like, lawyer, cop, I don't even know. But it's just kind of like, so I was having some thoughts along the same
Mm-hmm.
lines, okay? So little Denise said, I love Jason playing a lawyer when he went to jail and lead detective, lead detective at the police department. And she
Mm-hmm.
says, well, why not? If Robert can be DA when he never practiced a day of law after passing the bar over 30 years ago. So the thing is, I had actually started thinking, are we like building towards Jason becoming the DA one day?
OMG, I would so love to see that happen. It is unreal because, like we've said, since Jason has come back, we've seen him, and even his whole world has changed. It's less about being all murdery and more about how him and Sam's relationship has evolved. Him spending time with the kids, him moving in with his family, him having an expression and showing emotion. So this is definitely like another career path for him. Oh my God, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I don't know how that would happen. It's
Me
probably
neither.
one of those things where you can get fast tracked.
Yeah.
Because because there was a point where Sam wanted to be a lawyer, I think, like a
Oh,
bajillion
really?
years ago. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a fast track for that. There's a fast
Oh,
track for it.
for everything. Fast track button. Boop.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the whole police station thing I loved. And I have to say, like, I love Jordan and I know she wants her job back. But
Mm-hmm.
I love Mac in this role. Like he's just so cool. Like I just love how like relaxed he is, like compared to the
Mm-hmm.
last time he was commissioner. It's kind of like, he kind of like exemplified that today. Like when Sam wanted to come along so he can go arrest Shiloh, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"I'm a temp. What the hell? Come along, guys." And he let them come along to the arrest. Like he just doesn't care, and I just really, really like it. Like he's firm, but at the same time, like relaxed about the job and kind of more like kind of coming from the commissioner's role from a more gray area. Maybe it's not gray. Maybe it's common sense.
Well, it's like something you said to me earlier about how he sees him for who he is. Like, yes, Sonny is a bad guy, but he's mostly a good guy who handles bad situations. So he doesn't automatically come into this role like, Sonny's a criminal. Let's get him. It doesn't even matter if
Yeah.
he did it or not. Like, he has a realistic Port Charles view of all of these people in the town.
Yeah, he's not as combative as I guess maybe
Right,
most
that's the right word.
commissioners. And well, you know, he doesn't have that hard line that, let's say, Chase is slowly trying to
Oh, we got
undo.
to get to that.
So I mean, while Jason is trying to be all lawyer and law, Chase is contemplating a life with Sonny or becoming a Corinthos. I don't know.
I thought that was so funny. I think I don't know how he would, but I really love the way he
While
said, he's like,
hooking
I'm
up with
struggling.
Lulu.
Oh, right. Is that like setting the stage for future stuff?
I don't know. I really don't know because at the same time too, I'm like, what does Chase think he would do for Sonny? Like, what? What kind of job are you looking for? So I just find it funny how like Chase is really being vocal about wanting to cross lines. And it's really funny because it's like he has to talk about it before he can actually cross one. And so he talks about it. And even today, like with Hayden, like questioning her, this is like another small example about how Chase is just playing with the gray area and playing with blurring lines by using
Trying.
interrogation time, trying to like this is as far as he can get, you know, like he's all talking like I'll just go work for Sunny, and Will's like
Okay,
you're not
but if
gonna
he
do
would
it.
work, but if he worked for Sunny, he'd be like working the coffee cart outside of the hotel. That's how he would work for
No.
the Corinthos family.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. And so
Exactly.
and that's the thing. Like as far as he can actually go was trying to get information about his brother from Hayden. And even that, it was like, I want to be closer to my brother. Tell
So
me more about
cute.
him. How
So
do you know
cute.
him? I don't know what he's gonna do when he
Do
finds
you
out
love
that
him? That's what I was waiting
I
for.
don't even know. I don't even know which one would be asking that because I feel like Hayden is very justifiable in talking to Chase in that way because he does love his brother and he's so proud to say
Oh.
that he is his brother. Like even today when Finn's like, "This is my brother," he's like, "Yeah, I'm his brother," and he was so
It's so
upset that he
cute.
knew nothing about Hayden. And I wonder how he's gonna feel when he finds out that like they were pregnant, and we all
Right?
know that there's a kid. We don't know what she did with the
Uh,
kid, but there's a kid.
it'll appear out of somewhere. Is it dead?
I
We
think
don't know.
so. Oh my gosh. Okay, for a second there, I was like, no, 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 the timeline doesn't allow for that.
Wow, that's real special, Michelle. But yeah, so like veggie underscore Anya was thinking the same thing. She's like, "Where's the kid?" So I'm hoping that she still has the child. Like,
I
I
hope
don't
so too.
know.
It would add some complication that would be interesting.
I mean, I hate to say it. Like, okay, so I'll let someone else say it then. So Charlotte Charlotte Elaine Sanchez says, "I like Finn a lot better than Jax any day, and I love Finn and I love Jax. But in terms of for Hayden, I completely agree. Finn over Jax, and also now we know that Jax is not really an option
He's not
for
exactly.
Hayden. But I mean, like, just the intensity of Finn this week with her. Like, and I love how today he like makes a phone call to Anna. Just call me back when you can. Hayden's back in town,
Okay,
and it's just like
let's
I don't
just.
I don't think Anna's coming back to her man. I
I
don't.
don't think she's coming back either. But here's the thing, okay? And
No,
I don't
but
know if
coming
you
back to him,
noticed
she
it.
will come back. But
Oh, right. Okay, I got it now. I put two and two together. Got it. On
good,
board.
good.
So, when we were talking, I just thought about how the intensity with Finn and Hayden and his intensity towards her. So, did you notice when they were in the hospital scene, when Hayden was holding that box, Finn took it, put it on the counter,
Donuts.
and when he was, yeah, then I know you didn't see the rest then. So, when he was escorting her to the elevator, his hand was on her butt. You better rewind and check that out because I even
Of
put it in my
course
notes.
you
I
notice all
was
the
like,
groping. Like,
what?
oh,
Noted. Escorting somebody to the elevator, hand on butt.
do you know what's hilarious? You know what I thought was risque about that scene
What?
was him saying, "Let's take a walk like we used to." Like I thought that was,
Right?
I was like, "That's so risque," and you're like, "He touched her butt."
I'm gonna have to like screen cap it for you, like take a picture on my TV.
Yeah, and send it to me. But
Done.
yeah, no, I think, I mean, if anything, Robert can be there to pick up the pieces for Anna.
Absolutely, that works for me.
Or is there someone else available for her?
A contender? I don't really think so. Like a lot of, I don't see her with anybody else, but Robert, because he can tolerate and manage her baloney.
Yeah, and like Laura's taken, so Robert really can't go down that avenue.
Exactly.
Cause like Laura and Kevin are all kinds of freaking cute. Like they're
I
so funny with each
know.
other and their
Hmm.
banter at the wedding, like it was everything. So like, since Robert is building roots in Port Charles and that's sort of what Anna struggles, like maybe that's something that would make sense.
I think it would, honestly.
Okay, so speaking of spy stuff, Maxie gets her way. Like she gets a visit with Dante.
Which is impressive that her dad came through.
And I didn't know what to expect in this scene because she goes there. We have a guard coming. And the thing is, there was no promo that Dante would be back. So it's kind of like,
Exactly.
so it's like, where is this going to go? There's no news of like a recast. So I'm watching the scene very skeptical of like, what are we really going to see here? And ultimately, what ends up happening is that she's had enough of this guard standing between her and Dante, and she didn't like hearing
Hmm.
that Dante didn't want to see her. So, what do you do in any super secret government agency? You just open the door that you're not supposed to go through, and it's not locked. And then
No lock, no
she's
ID, no anything. You
no,
just go right in.
you turn the knob. So
Oh,
if
right,
anyone
right.
is
That's the
ever,
secret code.
yeah, so if anybody wants to know how do you get past high level security, just turn the knob.
Got it.
Turn the knob.
Done.
Is that the name of our podcast? I don't
Yes.
know. Okay, so she walks right in and then screams, "No, Dante." Well, it was more dramatic than that. It was like, "No, Dante." And there was a gunshot. So maybe I think the guy lied about Dante not wanting to see Maxie. So while he's shooting someone, possibly being held against his will,
Hmm.
Lulu is still going on dates. And I was going to ask you this question, but I think I kind of
Hmm.
know the answer.
Okay.
So, given that this date of hers had so much dialogue,
Yes.
I was going to ask you, like, what do you think this means?
I think she's going to like date this guy. Like he was even her Uber driver after, and she smirked.
That's what I thought. And he's also a teacher at the school. Remember, like, how Charlotte
Yeah.
was all
oh, will I see you? Like, even though she'll be like in a different classroom in a different floor or something like that. Okay, but so I had this question and I was thinking, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It might be like a
Okay.
different school, which means that he'll be forced into her vicinity.
Yes.
And but then I kind of, I don't know, online they kind of mentioned that he was like cast.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so
Absolutely.
about Lulu, did you
Yeah.
notice that she went on this fake date the same night as Elizabeth and Franco's wedding?
Huh.
I'm just saying, like she was like, I want to like support you guys, so I'm gonna let you have my venue. How about supporting your family because Elizabeth is your family? Go
Right.
to their wedding. Why would you not go to their wedding reception?
I didn't even put two and two together. Yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah, so I kind of noticed that she wasn't there, and I'm just saying, I think she should have been.
I agree. I agree. That would have been good. She could have just Ubered herself right over onto there and then back home for her so-called bath.
So Cam this week, oh, so at the wedding, Cam, the song was just really amazing. Like the
Oh my
song is
God,
just
that
so damn
kid.
good. It's
Yes.
so good and it was so on point. And I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
point out that you were right because we talked last week and I felt like the conflict between him and Franco was a little exaggerated and you said you
Yes.
felt the reason was just to like set the stage for some kind of like emotional speech at the wedding reception, but you were still right. It just was in the form of song.
Yeah, and I forgot that I said that, but I was right, and that was awesome. The song was beautiful.
It was, and even though we talked about like Kim's response to the song, I do have to point out that what also really struck me
Mm-hmm.
was Laura's reaction because
Yeah.
she like it's really really amazing because their bond is really great between Laura and Cam and I love
Mm-hmm.
watching it. But watching her respond to him, I was like, one, you're a really great actress. You're really
Yes.
portraying your relationship with Cam in this like in such a subtle way in this scene because it's like a group scene, but the way she was looking at him so proud, it was very much a grandmother being proud of her grandson and it really came through. And so I just really liked how that relationship was highlighted.
Me too, because what was it just last week they had that scene, well, right before the big scene with Cam and Franco that we were talking about, the scene right after that was with him and Laura. So it just kind of pushed it forward even more. And yes, Laura's absolutely amazing.
So this week we also see it looks like a temporary wrap on the whole Wiley scare. Again, we don't know how long Shiloh is going to be arrested for, but I don't know. I just wonder how like Franco and Elizabeth will actually come into play. And if them knowing that there is something up with Wiley and his supposed real father, if they're going to be part of this big reveal. I'm not sure. It's just that now I feel like there's a lot of players involved. It was kind of reminiscent about how so many people were involved in the Ryan thing, and some were just
True.
completely irrelevant in
Yeah.
how things came to a halt. Like we kind of suspected that this would be like a long kind of like ongoing situation. I guess they're really trying to make it as heartbreaking as possible. And so
Yeah.
speaking of that, because like Willow did say something today that was really poignant when she was talking
Yes.
to Michael. She had
Mm-hmm.
said to him, I would give anything to undo what Nell did. And just those words resonated because it's
Oh
like,
my God.
you
Yes.
will undo what she did more than you know.
Oh,
And you will
it's
take on
so
the hurt that he had experienced. So it's just, yeah, that like that really, really struck me in today's episode when Willow said that to Michael.
like whoever wrote that line specifically, it's like, oh my God, my heart aches.
Yeah, yeah. But on a completely lighter note, we're getting to know a little bit more of Dev, but more than just getting to know Dev, we're also getting to see how more and more and more invested Sunny is in this child. So, like, we understand from Brick that, you know, Sunny sees himself a lot in Dev, and he seems to be able
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like connect with him, rein him in the end, is going to kind of do what Sunny says and go to school and get an education and
Mm-hmm.
go to the Metro Court. He told him to go there and get a job with Carly, but we have Sunny who's not really, we have Jason, sorry, who's not really on board with this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he might start paying more attention because Jason catches Dev stealing, like trying to steal Laura's purse.
It's like, I think it's hard to break old habits. Like he's in this
Of
new town,
course.
everything is so fresh for him. I think it's a very good idea for Jason to keep a close eye on him. And I still do believe that Sonny has the right to see the potential in him. So it just has, he needs a bigger team to support him because Dev is new at this.
I guess my concern is that Sunny, like, yes, he has instincts, good instincts,
Mm-hmm.
but Jason has better ones, and
No, that's a good point.
Sunny has blind spots. So what concerns me is Jason's, like, aside from catching him stealing the purse, what concerns me is Jason being skeptical about Dev, because I do hope that there's nothing really dramatically bad about Dev, because I do like this concept of him sort of staying on and playing a
Me
mini Sunny.
Me too. The thing is, Carly also has good gut instinct, and she's on board with all of this.
Yeah.
But Carly and Jason have not sat down and talked about this truly yet. So when that conversation happens, I think I'll be able to like form a little bit of a different opinion.
And so we'll get the verdict from those two when they talk then.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Truly.
All right. So on that note, you just have a great weekend. Everybody
You
have a great
too.
weekend, actually.
Yeah. Happy weekend, y'all.
Bye.